I know you, I can feel you with the green of soul. It's more than empty dreams and promises. It's not infecting me no more. When all I say to you is dead and gone, you won't be feeling me no more. I know you, I can feel you with the green of souls. When you're not looking at me, I feel so slow. With all those dreams of all our memories, there's nothing alone and one. And thoughts of you just bring me down inside. I sing it with the green of souls. I know you, I can feel you with the green of souls. When you're not looking at me, I feel so slow. Get your hands up. It's more than empty dreams and promises.
All right. All right, you guys. Welcome to the listening room. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification. Like the video for the content. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. My name is Eddie Booze, and I am your host. Welcome to the listening room, you guys. And my guest today is an entrepreneur, marketing and business consultant with a specialization in global branding, a community leader, recently elected city council member, and respected family man. Previously a marketing brand manager with the Van Shoe Corporation, he is now the founder of LabWorks Print Shop here in Lakewood, California, and is consistently dedicated to helping small businesses of all kinds flourish. My guest sits on and has presided over boards of many community organizations such as the YMCA, the Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce, and more. This man is a foundation of knowledge and ideas, so business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs prepare to take some notes. Today, my guest is a staple of local community, and I am pleased to call him a friend. Please welcome to the listening room a good friend of mine, Mr. Ari Pay. How you doing today, Ari?
Good, brother. How are you?
Good to see you, boss. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you, dude.
Appreciate you having me here.
Awesome, dude. So make sure you're talking to the mic. And yeah, good to see you, Bender. Tristan, what's up, you guys? So, Ari, I like to start my show off like I like to start off my day with a little bit of gratitude. So every day I like to start the show off with something I'm grateful for. So since you're my guest today, why don't you tell me something you're grateful for? Just give me one thing you're grateful for.
Oh man,
Yeah, it's trippy when you get put on the spot like that, you know. But there's got to be so many things.
one community, one family.
Love that, dude.
You know,
I love that. And that actually like describes you like perfectly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like ever since I met you, you have like your whole thing has been about Lakewood. Like you've always been about community. I mean, look at the hat. You know what I mean? Like you're even sporting it on the show, dude.
Yeah.
So Ray, good to see you, boss. Good to see you. If you guys need any printing done, he's right up the street, dude. So, but yeah, man. No, that's exactly who you are. You know, one community, one family. Being grateful for that, being grateful for community, and being grateful for having all those people as your family. You know, and again, that's like how I met you. I met you through Jeff and Brad and everybody through the Chamber of Commerce and. And when I first sat down with you, the very first time I sat down with you, I remember it was before you knew about anything about my nonprofit organization. And I sat down with you, and your whole demeanor and everything about you was about helping small businesses. I remember you hooked me up with the was it the SBDC?
SBDC, yeah.
SBDC, like that day.
Yeah.
You started helping me with marketing for the nonprofit organization. Yeah. Like it was intensely engaging right off the bat because I was a local organization and you just wanted to help us be involved in that one community, one. What did you say?
One family.
One family, one community. I love it, dude. So yeah, that's perfect. That's a perfect gratitude coming from you, because that is you. You know what I mean? So I'll jump right on that, and I'll say that I'm happy and grateful for the community leaders in this community that I know personally, and that I don't know, that work tirelessly to help implement and innovate great community projects, such as the skate park, that you were talking about possibly doing, you know what I'm saying? And other things along those lines, you know what I mean? So everything that everyone does for the community, as far as, like I said, Jeff and Brad and yourself and Speaker Rendon and everyone else that I've met that just does great work, Travis and everyone else, that has to do it, and Jose and everyone that's got to do with Chamber, and everyone is so nice, and they're also welcoming, and they're also ambitious, and it's to see that and to be around that is like contagious. I'm grateful for that community too. I'm grateful for that one family, one community.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. So I'm gonna be talking to Ari Tay a little bit about some stuff, you guys, and if you guys have any questions for Ari during the interview, go ahead and don't hesitate to ask. So Ari was at one point one of the marketing brand managers for the Vans Shoe Corporation, and that's not. I would assume that's not a position that you've come into lightly. So how did you come into that? I mean, how did you get into being one of the marketing directors or the marketing brand managers for the Vans Shoe Corporation? That's probably a pretty coveted position. I mean, how did that happen?
So, well, you kind of look back on yourself and you reflect, and you know where you want to be. There's things that are really super attainable and that are not attainable.
Right.
And then in the end, when you figure out what you kind of want to do, because you never know what you want to do, you kind of say, hey, if I ever were to work for a company, if it's in apparel or if it's in footwear, who would it be with? And for me, it had to fit my personality. So
nice.
So it was very in that surf, skate, punk rock, kind of very artsy underground business sector of a brand that really resonated in how I grew up. So I had a buddy that worked at Vans. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And he worked for a skate company at one point in time. And then he got transferred to Vans, and he asked me, he goes, hey, you should come on board here. I'm like, and do what? He goes, why don't you answer some telephones? I'm like,
no kidding.
Well, yeah, so I started answering telephones. So I became what they call a customer service rep. So
you were just a CSR for Vans.
CSR for Vans. I was answering phone calls for clients, or for reps and businesses putting in orders.
Okay.
So this is way before the uptick of Vans, before it really started to take off. This was part of that climb to work.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so then I became an inside sales rep for.
So what year was this?
Gosh, this is like
80s, 90s.
No, this was like 03.
03?
03, 04, yeah.
Really?
I was with the brand for like almost 9 years, 8.5, almost 3.75, yeah.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah. So what it was I became an inside sales rep, and then there's different categories within the footwear.
Sure.
So when I say categories, you look at segmentation. When I say segmentation, like there's the shoes that go to like the kids, the shoes that go to like girls' lifestyle. There's shoes that are just
right
for the sneakerheads. Their shoes were just strictly like the athletes within the surf culture. So there's different categories around that mixes in, and I got to manage some of the big key accounts, and also a lot of the vault accounts. Let's call it the cool accounts.
Okay.
Vault means like you're doing shoes with like artists, and they only make like 1,000 units across the United States. And this store is going to get it. This boutique in LA is going to get it. And they have a launch party. They have the shoe party. And there's only so many made. So I got to manage a lot of those accounts. And
that's cool.
Yeah, like Undefeated, those shoe companies. I can't even remember any of them, like Flight Club and all that. There's so many. It's just, but it kind of probably twittered out a little bit because of how the industry's changed a little bit in that sector. But from there, inside sales rep, just kind of hanging out, and then there was an opening for marketing. I'm like, man, I got to get into marketing.
How did you? I mean, you just straight from so straight from a sales rep from the CSR
inside sales rep. I wasn't a sales rep. I was inside, so I had to manage my sales rep,
managing
I was his
specific accounts.
inside person. Yeah, managing his account. So my sales
Gotcha.
rep. So the sales reps would always take care of us because we both helped run the business and make sure that they had shoes coming in and out. Because if the shoes aren't coming in and out, they're not putting the orders in.
Right.
Sales reps aren't making any money.
Sure.
So, and then a posting came up, marketing position opened up. I'm like, whoa, let me see if this is possible. But it was like an intro level marketing position at Vans, like literally like you were like to be like answer calls for like, there were VPs, like for like, just call me an executive assistant for what it is, for what it is, to Steve Van Dorn and Doug Palladini. And then going back into who Steve Van Dorn is the family that started
Founder
Vans,
of Vans.
and then Doug Palladini is a genius in the action sports sector. And, you know, I was there when he was a director. Now he became VP, and now he's the president. That's the man.
That's awesome.
So I'm thinking, let's just go for it, right? Like, my thing was, I'm a dude, I'm not saying anything about being an executive assistant that you have to be male or female, but I knew my chances were really, really slim, man, because there's a lot of people applying, females applying, and I'm like, why would they choose me, So it was crazy because, so I applied. And then they go through the interview process. They said, you had a good interview, cool. I sat with Steve for an hour, which was rad. Then I sat with Doug Palladini for an hour, which was really cool. And then it was funny because I interviewed on a Tuesday, and that Friday I took half day because I was going to the desert to go ride dirt bikes in Klamash, right?
Right.
My bike was loaded, my truck was loaded, in the parking lot, ready to go.
And Bender, he's talking like early 2000s, by the way.
Yeah, we're riding our dirt bikes, and then HR approaches me and goes, hey, you need to turn in the Steve and Doug want a 3-page paper on what Vans means to you by Monday morning.
Kidding
8 a.m.
me. And you're about to go dirt bike
And
riding.
I'm leaving to go dirt bike riding. I'm like, okay, screw it, right? So grab my laptop,
Take it with you.
take it with me to the dunes, right?
Yeah, there you go, of course.
So sitting by the fire, all day riding, hang out, have a couple beers, and you just it was pretty cool because it let me really think.
Sure, it allowed you some freedom to open up
Yeah.
and some time for yourself.
Sit by the fire.
in a nice environment.
Nice
With people
environment.
you cared about.
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude.
So-
I can't imagine a better place to be writing that 3-page paper.
So I wrote a 3-page paper. I'm like, man, this is so was it steak and potatoes? It's so
Right.
just everybody's gonna do this. Everybody's gonna turn in 3 papers. They're gonna staple it. They're gonna put a cover page. Fuck this. Sucks, dude. No, I'm not gonna do this. So what I figured out was, how do I make this more appealing, right? So I turned my 3-page paper into like an audio video presentation of what Vans meant to me. And then when I came back, I luckily had an infant shoe of Vans, like the ones we used to hang on the car doors or car window, rear view mirrors, like little shoes, right? Little shoes, like little kid shoes. So what I did was, I took a jump drive, I downloaded a jump drive, and I poked a hole in the shoe.
And put it in the shoe.
I put it in the shoe, dude. And then, so Monday morning, I walked into Doug Palladini's office. I remember it vividly. He goes, because I saw stacks of like papers and CDs and cover letters, and I handed him my shoe like this. I go, here. He's like, what's this? Well, he said you wanted a 3-page paper. And he looked at me and he's like, all right. I did the same thing to Van Dorn, right? And after that, it was history, man.
That's cool.
I did a presentation and tied it all in.
That's awesome, dude. So you didn't go to school for marketing, like you did.
I did. I went to Long Beach State for business admin with an emphasis in marketing.
You're kidding. So you
did, yeah.
already had that going
Yes,
into this,
yeah.
but you didn't. That's funny.
No.
that's funny. Like, you didn't go for the marketing position at Vans. You kind of worked your way up into that.
Yes.
And you had already had the education and the knowledge of how marketing really should work and does work, and just moved yourself up and then finally made your way into that position. How long did you stay there in marketing for Vans?
I was in inside sales for probably 2 years, and then the rest was in marketing. So, but mind you not, when I got into marketing, I told the mail guy, because he would distro all the mail. So the marketing department back then was open seating, co-op on floors, your desk, you just stand up and you see your neighbor. I said, bring me the mail. So we had all categories. We had like web, we had athlete, team management, we have designers, we had merchandisers all within our sector of that part of the building. So I said, let me do the mail. So he would bring me the mail. So I would give the mail out every day to all these directors or these marketing the category managers every day. And next thing you know, dude, you're passing mail and there's conversations.
And and you're networking.
And you're networking.
Yeah.
And then someone says, hey,
Smart
dude,
man.
I need help in retail. We got to go to Florida. We got this band playing. We got metal band that's going to happen in the parking lot. Can you go? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me ask Doug and Steve, and, make sure I had all my work done. And then, hey, someone needs help. They need to go there. And so, all right, go. See you in a couple of days. And it just happened all around in different categories. And I just help all these categories. And then, one day, the director back then, which good dude, Mr. Peter Derricks, he goes, hey, I'll give you the protective gear brand like ProTech.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about ProTech, it wasn't insular to like helmets. It was across all categories of sports: bike, wake, skate, and snow. So,
that's dope.
It was really
That's
dope.
huge, dude.
It was. So every season, there's photo shoots and travels, and it was really, really fun. It was very across the board. So we'd be in like France snowboarding,
Dude.
visiting clients, and then come back to Vegas for mountain bike events,
What? That's so
back to
tight.
Orlando for wakeboarding events, then back to Arizona for BMX events, so
Man, that's so awesome.
I was
Dude.
blessed. I worked at the brand, which I call, it was really the golden years of a brand where you walked in and it was very like everybody knew each other. It didn't explode yet. It was kind of on that crawl. The numbers were comping really well every month, but it was really tight, and it was really good time to be there, and made some really good friendships, and still talk to, like Steve and I still talk, really good people, man.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. So you and Steve still talk. You guys still actually work together to put together some community projects, and from what you've told me before, Steve has actually come to the table on a number of occasions to help with some community projects and things along those lines. Can you tell us about some of the stuff that you've done with Vans since you've left Vans, and since you've been one of the community leaders here in Lakewood, how you've kind of teamed with Vans to bring some positivity to the community?
So like anything, it's a challenge, and when you get in positions, you kind of figure out where your strengths are. My strengths are in my personality of meeting people and connecting the dots. I love connecting the dots.
Sure.
So there's a couple projects we had. I invited Steve to come down to a Rotary Club meeting because I had Eddie Fiola. He's one of the great 1980s BMX bull stud, like Eddie Fiola, man. He's from Bellflower, right? So I had him come down because our Rotary Club of Lakewood, we did this. We give away helmets and bikes away during the Safety Expo and opening day for baseball or youth sports in the city of Lakewood. And I said, let's have like really endemic partnerships to where we're not just giving like Walmart stuff away. These kids, let's give them good brands, and it was crazy because Eddie was there and he was talking and he started going sideways. I'm like, oh man, this is not where I want the conversation to go. Right? He's like talking about skate parks and pump tracks. I'm like, oh man, let's stay but in the end, it worked out well. It really opened the conversation to where the city of Lake, the people, my Rotary, I'll call my Rotary family, the Rotary Club of Lakewood, they asked a lot of deep questions. Like, we had a skate park in the 70s. Yeah. Then how come we can't build another one? And then, Steve stepped up, he stepped up a little bit to help us out and kind of forge and kind of get the ball rolling on the idea. So now it's for us to figure out if it's even possible. I can't say, or I don't know yet, but it's not gone away. It's a conversation that's still there. And then the second project was right when COVID hit. The director Pete Derricks and then Steve called me and they said, hey, what's going on? Like, what are you guys doing in Lakewood? Like first responders need help. Who needs help? This, and that. And then we just couldn't find like a meeting where we were able to connect, right? And then, in the end, Steve's like, all right, Ari, I got a bunch of shoes I'm going to send you. And then you figure it out. It was amazing because he trusted me to kind of figure it out.
Nice.
So I went to staff, and and Valerie Frost and RCS, her brainchild of bringing let's connect the dots with the brand and the youth of our city. So what we did was we came together and recognized the kids that go over and beyond in giving back to the community. And if they were recognized by their peers and or their counselors, teachers, or principals, they received a free pair of shoes. Yeah, so we worked
Very
with all
cool.
the schools in Lakewood, and with that, we gave away shoes. So now it allowed us as a city to have a relationship with a brand. So now we have these ongoing conversations. We're going to do it again next year, which we're really excited. And who knows what's going to happen in the next 3-4 years with this whole project, because I mean, you can give monetary donations and things like that, which would be cool. But when you tie a brand with an emotional attachment to a brand that really understands who the kids are and really resonates their message, the kids get super fired up. And as a brand, and as me, is like, I try to be a kid still. I'm an old man, but I try to dress like a kid. Try to wear the Vans still, but
you
it's
skate,
cool.
you surf, you go out, you do it. You do the damn thing. But yeah, man, and that's a beautiful thing for Vans to do. Like you said, giving monetary compensation is one thing, but really, how long does that last? When you do something like this, along the scope of what you're talking about and the scale of what you're talking about, what you do is you're offering quality time, family time, time with friends. You're offering an experience. You're offering an experience to these kids in future generations, not just the kids today that'll get the monetary donation that you may give today. But when you build something along those lines and you're creating something where these kids can have or these kids for generations to come can go to this place and have an experience and create an experience for themselves growing up, and always look back on that skate park and be like, damn, like Vans created a legit experience for me as a child. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a big thing. They can say the city of Lakewood and Vans together. You know what I mean? And so that's an absolute huge thing, and seeing and knowing that big corporations like that are so down to earth and willing to, especially Vans, and we're talking about Vans very specifically here, are willing to just ground themselves enough to say, hey, let's work with local cities, local community organizations, and put skate parks in the area. Let's help build positive like I said, experiences and positive monuments to athletics that are non-traditional. You know what I'm saying? I mean, skating and surfing and snowboarding and these games that are considered X Games. They're some of the some of the fastest growing sports in the country, if not the world, and some of them have even outgrown some of the traditional sports. So for us to not for corporations like Vans to take that into account and say, we're going to do everything we can to help bring that type of experience to, like I said, generation after generation. It's very, very, it's very generous.
It's really cool. They, the brand really listens and it resonates their message, and they make sure that the consumer is the one that's driving, like if anything,
that's cool.
The consumer drives because the consumer's always changing, they get younger and younger. And like for me, when we talk about traditional and non-traditional sports, within that non-traditional sector of let's just call it action sports,
right?
These kids can get paid,
big time.
Like these kids, okay, he skates at a skate park or he rides BMX at the skate park, right? He might not be a professional BMX or skateboarder or professional surfer, but you know what? He can get a job in the industry. He can be the CEO. He can be the president. He can be in charge of graphics. He can be in charge of web. He can do video content. So if anything, it's just understanding, that there is other means that these are pathways. Let's call it pathways that these kids can get into versus let's call it the quote unquote traditional route,
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Interesting, and a lot of people don't think that way. I honestly didn't for the whole time, as a musician, and this applies across the board. Being a musician, I never thought to myself like, oh, I can apply this and get into the industry somewhere. Yeah. I always thought, oh, I'll just be the performer, and if that doesn't work out, then I'm shit out of luck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think what you said is extremely key. I think what you said is extremely important for these up and comers to keep this in mind. Like, when you're out there on the track, when you're out there on the at the skate park and you're on the pump track and you're in your bike or you're doing whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean you just because you didn't get picked up or sponsored and you're not making $100 million a year, as Sean White, it doesn't mean you can't go and make a respectable living doing something you love in the field that you absolutely enjoy and love, and be surrounded by constantly by good people who are also passionate about the same thing you are. and you're, you know what I'm saying, like you said, you're surrounded by doing something, you're surrounded with work that's related to something you love.
And I have this conversation with my friends, you know, because I am part of the older echelon of,
Sure.
you know, the demographic, and we have kids, and they're like, oh man, my kid just games all day, you know, he doesn't want to do anything. I'm like, wait, hold on, break it down. Let's break it down a little bit, you know, like, yeah, he games all day, but why don't you look at different ways to get him into that industry? If he's really into that, explore it, explore coding, explore, you know, animation, explore, you know, like Comic-Con and what it takes to get, you know, to do a lot of those things. Like,
dude,
like if you go granular in that, there's sectors like, he might not be a professional gamer, but you know what? If he can be the CEO of the brand or the company,
yeah,
lead designer, and be a genius, you know,
yes,
it's like that's. And I tell my buddies that all the time, but it's hard to concept, you know, like how they thought like X Games back in the days, like action sports. It was like, oh, you're just a bunch of skaters and surfers. You guys are just punks, you know. But now
building multi-million-dollar brands
and companies, yeah.
It's like,
you know, forwarding fashion, you know, it's crazy, yeah. So
that's awesome, dude. Ray says recommendations on Eddie Vans shoes, and he also says, are they made in the USA?
Yeah, I mean, the recommendation part, I mean, it all depends on your personality, you know.
Half cabs, Ray, half cabs from '92.
You know, one shoe doesn't fit all, and if you're a true Vans consumer, then there is a shoe for you there that you can relate to. And are they made in the USA? I've been out of the loop. I can say yes, I can say no. I don't know exactly.
Not positive.
I mean, there's factories outside of the U.S.
Sure.
There's factories, and there's globalization of, you know, bringing factories together. So I think it's a mosh podge of all of it together.
Cool.
You know, to make sure that, you know, when I look at the business sector of that, you know, it's sometimes boils on a price point.
Yeah.
I was at the brand where I was seeing kids return. First of all, I was at the brand when I saw people start a company that was on a consignment business, meaning they took their Air Jordans, they left it at the store. It was 80-20. If that Air Jordan sold, the consumer gets 80%, the house gets 20%, and they'd take that money and go buy 3 pairs of Vans. So it was crazy.
Really?
Oh, dude, yeah. This is years and years ago. Like, these people were making money with consignment stores because Vans was on the uptick, and you get a pair of Jordans, you get 1 Jordans, right? But you can get like 4 or 5 colors in Vans.
Right.
If you do like the eras or like the regular.
Interesting.
slip-ons. So now fashion is always ever changing, and everybody's shoes wants to be fresh, clean. You know, so yeah, I saw that big that evolve into and out of, you know.
What a trip. What a trip. You know, while we're here and talking about Vans, let's go ahead and show the folks out there a little clip of what you and Vans and the city of Lakewood kind of did. This was recently? This was during the shutdowns?
During the COVID, yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and show everyone what you and Vans had cooking up here, you guys. Here's a little bit of stuff that Ari's got going on for you.
Due to the coronavirus pandemic, the end of the 2020 school year is not what high school students had envisioned. But Mayfair High School senior Naraya Cervantes is making the best of it.
I've just thought of the good things rather than the bad things, knowing that I've had such great memories so far, and just not thinking of what's sort of lost, thinking of what I've gained.
Now, Vans is lifting the spirits of high school students in Lakewood by donating 100 pairs of those popular California shoes.
Yeah, I love Vans. I've always had a pair of Vans since like 4th grade, so yeah.
Steve Van Doren, whose father and uncle are the founders of Vans, helped make the donation possible. Steve, along with Lakewood City Council members, delivered the shoes to 5 area high schools to be given to students who have in some way given back to the community.
This was just to thank, volunteers, and here in the Lakewood area, it looks like it worked out fantastic because of all of the, enthusiasm between students and teenagers. Just a thank you, here's a pair of shoes, and thanks for caring about other people. That's what it's all about.
We have so many students right now who send us pictures, who will email to us and let us know they're helping their family out, they're working in the community, they're delivering meals, and to hear that we are gifted, shoes for kids who not only love Vans, but are working hard for the community, it fills your heart.
I'm an ASB, I've been in it for 3 years, and I'm also a Miss Bellflower Princess, where I go around Bellflower and I volunteer. I also volunteer in Lakewood, at different food distributions and also fundraisers for different nonprofit organizations.
So I volunteered at the blood drive for 2 years now, and we have one each semester, so a total of 4 blood drives.
Along with Mayfair High School, other students who have shown compassion for others are from St. Joseph's, Artesia High, Lakewood High School, and Odyssey STEM Academy, where students there have given of themselves through the Environmental Sustainability Program.
During the holidays, when they were growing their crops, they had leftover, and even another time during the period of the year, whatever leftover food they had, they gave it over to food finders. And so obviously environmental sustainability, we don't believe in waste, and we also believe in giving back to the community.
Lakewood is home to one of the original Vans shoe stores, which opened on Del Amo Boulevard and is now located in Lakewood Center.
There's a lot of personal connection that we have to the company and to the brand, and to hear that they're still committed to the Lakewood community. Obviously, they still have a store here in the mall, but to make that extra special commitment by donating the 100 pairs of shoes for exceptional high school students, and we have lots of exceptional students here in Lakewood, and it was great to partner with the principals to identify those that have really gone the extra mile to be community conscious, especially during this pandemic era that we're living in, and recognize them. And clearly the kids were thrilled to get the shoes.
And even though these students are unable to walk the hallways of their high school right now, they are still walking in style, old school, classic, in color, and ready to take on the future. For City TV, this is Eileen McGilrath.
All right. Oh, I didn't let the end play out. I cut it a little short there. I thought it was going to cut back to us. That was really cool, man. That's really cool. Seeing what you guys do with the community on a regular basis is very, very awesome, and it's not a surprise to me because, like I said, I've got to know you as that type of person, you know. And I wanted to ask you a couple questions, actually specifically about marketing. You know, as a musician and someone that is the person who's constantly doing his own thing. What are, like, okay, so give me the absolute number one most important thing to know about marketing if we're going to start somewhere. Somebody who's a musician or a business owner, whether they're a brand new YouTube channel, a gamer, anyone who's looking to start somewhere and start marketing themselves, what's the most important thing for them to remember?
There is no wrong way to market.
Okay.
I mean, take that concept of no wrong way, find your lane, and then go.
Okay.
So when I say find your lane, you're going to know you're going to know what the boilerplate of marketing is, but you're not going to know what works until you start testing the ground. So,
okay.
So if you look at everything, when things have evolved from marketing, you know, you look at it from 3 different points of view. You look at it from the print, your let's call it the web space.
Okay.
And then your community reach. You know, if you look at those 3 categories and kind of pick and choose, you know, depending on what you're trying to do, and start pinpointing and get really, really, let's call it, get granular in what it is that you're trying to do and get people to know. So an example, okay, community service.
Sure.
Okay, so when I took the leap out of corporate America, I owned a garage business, and out of that garage business, it was more of, I tried to figure out, how do I get people to know who I am so I can grab more business?
That's right.
But what I did was I got involved in the community in a service organization. But the misconception of joining an organization is to develop business. I joined a service organization to do service. In the back of my mind, I wanted to build my business, but sometimes it doesn't work. Or if you don't write it out, it's not going to work. So what I did was I took the business aspect mentally out of it. I got in service, but the byproduct of me being super engaged and super involved allowed me to build my business. An example would be hey, Eddie, hey, Rotary Club is we're going to be cooking food at the Ronald McDonald House to help all these families. So we're volunteering. we know of each other, but we don't know, like our backgrounds, our history, or what we do for a living. But us volunteering together will give us time to connect.
Sure.
Hey, oh, I'm a musician. Oh, hey, you do printing. I need t-shirts. I need music. It's just like that, So I think, but there was no wrong way, right? Because it was like, you go to build your business in this group, and then people leave or they don't stay in the group because, I'm not building business. I'm not getting any money out of it. But for me, it wasn't about that. I took the business part out. I went in and just did service, and just gave. And then the business just kind of lent itself and kind of just aligned, and it just started turning,
Yeah, I can attest to that. There's something that has to do with like kind of throwing out your own efforts into the community. Like when I first got involved with the Chamber of Commerce myself, I came in, I started going in every week and helping out with the podcast, and I started I was writing music for whoever needed music, and I was doing everything I could possibly do to help out any entity that needed my help. And I didn't ask anyone for any one thing for a year, at least 1 year, before I opened my mouth and said anything to, hey, can you would you help me out with anything? And then the very first thing I asked for was for people to come to a fundraiser that I had for the nonprofit organization. I just, hey, come, just show up. No donations necessary. Just be here. Just, and they did. And not only did they do that, but people like yourself and Jeff, put their best foot forward and also put the word out and helped make the event be, as good as it could possibly be. And it's like you said, those networking opportunities, you take full advantage of those, and it's definitely a huge way I've found to build to build the business. And as far as like building business goes, like what do you find more beneficial about building out instead of building up? You know what I'm saying? And because I noticed that you didn't like get a huge warehouse when you started to get a lot of business. You started outsourcing a lot of the business to other local print shops, and it kind of became a rising tide lifts all ships situation instead of a rising tide only lifts Ari's business situation. You know what I mean? Like, why did you decide to do that? Why did you decide to spread out the love across the print shops in the area instead of just taking on the business? You could have done done it yourself. You could have built a bigger warehouse and then had more overhead and all that stuff. Why did you choose to build out instead of up?
Well, when you go back to building like a business again, like marketing, there's no wrong way. You look what people have done and what other companies have done, and there's a lot of success stories, but a lot of failed stories. And then owning a business or being an entrepreneur is not easy.
People for sure.
Think, you get time off, you don't have that, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, you can do that, but you grind, grind hard. You're grinding every day.
You're usually working even on vacation.
You're working on vacation,
working in the middle of the night,
and it doesn't stop. So for me, the business was growing so much that, you ask yourself, like, how much stress do you want?
Yeah.
How much you want to deal with? Do I want to close this huge deal and be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How I hire people? I got to buy more equipment. I got to get more money.
How am I going to get the infrastructure to make sure that this happens?
Build the exact infrastructure
and then you had the overhead. So now after this one project, let's say that's not sustained and you don't have a lot of projects for a number of months and, before your next big project, I completely understand.
So what I did was I figured out, okay, I can get into that part of my business is print. So we do a lot of digital printing. We do screen printing, but there's embroidery. There's, there's DTG, direct-to-garment printing. There's sublimation. So I'm like, okay, I can get into that business because it's kind of exciting for me to learn it, study it, and know how to do it. But in the end, will it make us more money? Or do I find out who I can hire to bring in-house? Now I have to hire somebody, I got to bring it in-house. I still got to learn the machine because what if they get sick? They don't want to work. Now it's like employees. I'm like, okay, hold on here. Let's rethink this. So what I figured out was, let me reach out to my buddies that are in the same industry, and I'm sure we can just share work. Like, if I make a little money, if I don't make any money, and I know my friend's business is successful, then I'll be okay, cool. I win because I stoked out a friend that needed money or needed business to come his way. And it just worked out to where instead of going up in business, I went out. So yeah, you can call, but it's still under my company, but I went out. Now I have my buddies that I work with, and they're busy. There's money in their pockets.
You outsource the work
yeah.
in a different way.
Yeah.
You decided to rework the infrastructure model in your favor. And really, to be honest with you, that was really smart. That was really smart. I remember when I told you and I came to you and I told you that I was looking at a couple offices for the Arts and Enrichment Academy.
What was the first thing I told you?
Was the first thing you told me? It was like you were like don't do it just yet. Let's just think about this. And you laid the model out for me of how you'd done that. And you were like, if you got the space now of where you're working from now, do it there.
Yeah.
There's no need to take on any extra overhead that you're not gonna that you're not gonna maybe possibly in the future be able to sustain.
Exactly, yeah.
So that was a golden little nugget I got from you, one of the very first times we ever hung out actually, and I definitely adhered to it. So Ari also works with the youth in locally as well, and he donates his time, he donates his energy, donates his resources to helping many different programs, many different schools in the area, offering them different types of programs through with what he does with printing and things along those lines. So let's go ahead and check out a little bit of what Ari has recently done with the Long Beach. It's the ACT program, the Adult Community Transition Program. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Correct. Okay, so it's the Adult Community Transition Program. Actually, we ran a program with them with the songwriting not long after you did the printing one. Yeah. But let's go ahead and check out Ari in action with the Long Beach ACT program.
You guys to make your own things here. So you're gonna walk every class. You're gonna walk away with something. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now you're gonna see what I'm doing. So you guys can kind of. And it looks a lot harder, but.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put a piece of transfer tape. Okay, this is what we call transfer tape, right?
Yeah.
This is transfer tape. We're gonna do this. And we're gonna smooth it like this. And then we're gonna get a blade. We're gonna cut. So when you go home today, you're gonna have this sticker like this, right?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
That's cool.
Okay. This material, this white material, this red material, it's what they call a 3mm outdoor vinyl. This is the software we use. What it does is allow you to take your idea, your name, your number, whatever you want, and convert it into a vector file. Okay, so there's two types of file. It does this and it cuts the letters. It's gonna cut a blade and cut everything around there. Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
So that's what this machine does.
Let's see. Oh, that's looking good. Almost there. How you doing, Brandon? That one?
We got more.
Okay, guys.
Today.
That was dope. Yeah, man, dude, it's nice to see you out there putting your best foot forward with the kids in the community, man. That's really cool. And that was actually. So the Long Beach Adult Community Transition Program is a program with developmentally disabled adults ages 18 to 22, I believe. Yeah. And it's a wonderful program that Long Beach Unified School District offers. And I was fortunate enough to go in with Ari one day and actually see him in action. And I was so inspired by watching him do what you just saw that I approached the directors of ACT, myself, and talked to them about the music program, and we actually donated the music program to them as well. Because nice. We just, after I saw what you did, I thought it was like I said, it was so inspiring, and just kind of seeing somebody do something like what I saw you do, it lights a fire. It's like, oh, I want to contribute to the community like that. You ever see that movie Pay It Forward?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like when you see someone else putting their best foot forward or doing something good for the community. It's like you realize that you're completely capable of doing something just as good, and you just want to do that thing, so yeah, I encourage you guys as well, like to allow yourselves to get into that type of mentality of just giving back. You know, there's nothing wrong with it, you know? And it only does, and look, like this man right here, I can attest to that. Ari is all about helping other people, whether it be local business owners, whether it be local education organizations or school districts or the city or whatever it may be. So, you know, and I've only seen that all of that effort that you put in, all it does is it creates more positivity in your own life. It's like this snowball of positivity that you've made for yourself, and then everything that comes after that is just this. It's just all this abundance that comes into this void that you created for yourself. A void of positivity. Because when you're pouring out of your own cup for everyone else, you're making room in your cup for more positivity to come in.
Yeah, nice.
You feel me? You have to think about that for a minute, because you're now a conduit for positivity for others.
Yeah.
You're making yourself that.
Yeah.
So and now it's not just it's all for me. It's all good things are happening to me. It's like you're allowing the good to come right through you and go to everyone downstream or upstream or next to you or whatever it may be. And the universe sees that. The universe pours more abundance on you, and you get to take and pick and choose the really nice things in your life for yourself and your family as you have while you have fun. Help other people, grow, and help other businesses grow, and help people, get on positive tracks, and help inspire others like me to do things like you did by go out and do programs with these kids.
Thank you.
100%, bro. Thank you.
That hits hard. That hits low, man. It's good.
I love it, dude. I love it. So my mom says, cool. Ray says, Vans has a special place in my child and adulthood. I remember buying them up the street, and you know me, that's all I wear. He says, and he knows the artist on the wall in your lab works. He says he knows it was Steve Mobley.
Scott Mobley.
Scott Mobley.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist from Lakewood. Old school surfer guy.
Oh, no shit.
Amazing with a pen.
Okay.
Yeah, he showed up one day, and we connected very well. Really good people.
No kidding.
Yeah, Scott Mobley, good guy.
That's really cool. Shout out to Scott Mobley.
Yeah,
that's
very artistic.
That's super dope. Yeah. So okay, so you came out of marketing from Vans. Why in the world printing? Why printing?
So well, printing. So let's go back 15 years prior, like growing up before Vans, probably before college, or right in the middle of college. It was like, okay, we surfed, we rode dirt bikes, we rode motorcycles. We want to own. You live in Lakewood and Long Beach. You want to own your own clothing line.
Yeah.
You don't want to look like everybody else. Right. You don't want to be like this. You don't want to be like that crew or this crew. We want our own stuff. So my brother and I, we played a lot of hockey. So him and I, and a cousin invented a brand, and we said, we're just gonna make shirts and give them away. So we came up with this brand called OSG, and then we printed shirts, and then we started giving them away. And I'm like, cool, yeah, everybody's rocking our stuff. And then it's like, okay, you're giving away like a $9 t-shirt. I'm like, oh.
I know, yeah.
So which led me to figure out the manufacturing process of that t-shirt.
And you realized the profit margin was a lot higher than...
It was a lot higher, but I just had to invest in equipment.
Sure.
So I invested in the equipment, and I went and bought equipment and brought it home. My brother and I looked at each other like, what does this do? I don't know, dude. This is before YouTube. So I went and got a book. I said, learn how to screen print.
That's the way to do it.
So what we did was I read the book, and we drink beers during the weekend and try to figure this machine out. And then we went to LA, bought a bunch of samples, and we started printing stuff, and we just started giving it away. Now my $8 giveaway was like a $2 giveaway.
Right.
I can get on 4 people for $8 versus
one person for $9.
Yeah, exactly. So it turned into that, and then one day, we launched the brand, got on a couple of small shops, and then I didn't want to do that because you had to keep reinventing. I didn't want to change a logo. It's a pain in the butt. I just wanted to wear something. I wanted a black t-shirt and a white t-shirt and a gray shirt. And then someone hits me up and goes, hey, can you print some t-shirts for my dad's towel company?
Fell into it.
I'm like, yeah, why not? So did that. How much are you going to charge? I don't know. Let me just charge you this. And, obviously it was lower than expected. Then I did some research. Like, this is a pretty big industry.
Yeah.
Let's see where this can go. So it was more of a side hustle. So I was,
until you actually did some research and realized what it could be.
So I was printing out of my mom's garage for a long time. And I turned on a side hustle. I just said, I'll print shirts. One shirt turned into 2 companies, 2 companies turned into 4, and then so on and so on. I have hundreds of companies now, that come back to me, on an ongoing
regular basis. I love it.
And then after leaving the corporate America, you know, I took some pretty big roles at other brands. And then my wife's like, man, you know, why don't you print? And I'm like, print? Like print t-shirts? She goes, yeah, you know it. And I'm like, let me think about it, you know. So got to surf every day, like twice a day for like a month.
Right.
And my wife knows I'm not one to be lackadaisical on the couch. I'm just go.
Yeah.
Once I figure it out,
I know that. Yeah.
And then I figured it out. You know,
don't do nothing.
I figured out how to scale out versus scaling up, you know, and then I bought I bought a bigger dryer so I could turn more production, and we just started going and just went super lean, and I just print for everybody. And now I'm here today. I have a company, you know, and we print a lot for everybody.
Love that, dude.
So it's good. It was scary, but it's good. We're
interesting process. Interesting process. It wasn't something that you were like, oh, I'm gonna get into script. I gotta do this. Like you just. That's really interesting. Bender has a really interesting comment here. He says, "You guys couldn't be more right about the success and growth of your own business. I own my business, and for something I built out of nothing, I've come a long way. Own 3 trucks now and doing great." Congrats, bro.
Yeah,
and that's not easy, dude.
No, it's not.
That is not easy, bro. And you know what? It takes sacrifice.
Yep.
It takes time. It takes so much effort, and all this stuff no one sees.
Yeah, no.
No one sees.
No, yeah.
You're the only person, and you deal with it, and you're in pain.
Yeah.
You deal with, you know, like I said, financial, you know, defeat after defeat. You know, before it's. Starting a business and maintaining a business and growing a business is not an easy task. However, it's doable. A lot of people will listen to what we're saying here and go, oh my God, I can never start a business. No.
You can.
All you have to do is just take one step and then the next, and not worry about getting caught in the pitfalls. Just know you're going to have obstacles. They're going to arise, and just all you got to do is tell yourself, I don't care. This is just another obstacle. I just have to take the next step, and stay in business. And pretty soon, whether it takes you 8 months, 8 years, or 80 years, if you stay in business and you believe in what you do, and you have a good product or service that's sellable to the general public, you will succeed. Stay in business, do what you got to do. Bender says, I'm a risk taker. I got to love that. You got to take the good with the bad and hope you end out on top. That's exactly right. You got to take that first step, take the next step. It's just going to hey, I'll tell you what. When I started my business, the Big E-Learning Academy, it was the education business, and it was an LLC. And I got my first contract within like 6 months of starting the business, and I had my first like $25,000 contract, and we were off to the races. And we were running nonstop that whole school year. Couple years running really well. A friend of mine says, you need to be a nonprofit organization. You run educational businesses, and this should be nonprofit, and you know the taxes should be different for you guys because of the community services you offer. I took him at face value. I went and started a nonprofit organization, moved the curriculum over to the nonprofit organization, and all of a sudden the funding avenues were completely different. Everything changed, and I spent 5 years contractless. 5 years trying everything I could to get a contract for that company, and everything I could to get services running for the kids. And I was doing the exact same thing as I had been doing as an LLC prior, and running contracts as a for-profit company. But once I was a non-prof, that funding avenues that we were previously getting were no longer available to us. And things started to change, but I could have said, oh well, shucks, you know, it's not working, you know, and you know what? 5 years contractless, and guess what? We're still in business. We just ran a donated program to the Long Beach, you know, adult community transition program, you know, and I've just met with Speaker of the State Anthony Rendon. I've just met with countless you know, local you know, and regional legislators to bring our programs to other people as well. And I'm not giving up. I'm going to stay on it until it happens, until it works, until we're in every major school in every major city in the country. You know what I'm saying? I'm not playing.
No,
you know what I mean? And that's the kind of and that's like Bender has adopted, like Ari has adopted, and like I have adopted. That's the mindset you have to have when you start your business. You have to have a mindset of success. You have to have a mindset of, I'm gonna crawl through some shit probably, but it's going to be okay, and it's gonna be worth it, because I'm gonna live a life that a lot of other people wish they could live. You know, I can't do the 9 to 5 thing myself. For me, that's soul crushing.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean that's just me. You know, so I mean, but the larger point here, really, and everything that we've been talking about here is that if you just put your best foot forward and not think about the obstacles you know are going to happen, you might be a little bit more at ease. You might be able to put yourself a little bit more at ease as you approach owning a business, as you approach building a business and starting to be successful in a business. You have to know that there's going to be some pitfalls and some obstacles.
I think too is, you know, with entrepreneur mindset, you have to be open-minded.
Totally.
You know, like I got a lot of flack, you know, for marketing. You know, you're a marketing guy. How come you're not marketing your business? I'm like, well, because I'm not. You know, I'm going to build this business on a high five and handshake is how I built this business. I did 0 advertising for my company. It was all about high fives and handshakes and being activated in the community, and somebody knows somebody. And that's what I did. And I took flack for like 3 or 4 years, especially in the retail sector. Friends that had other businesses, you need to do this, this, and this. You should know this. I'm like, well, no, I'm not. And in the end,
like you said at the beginning, there's no wrong way.
And
I love it.
And then my wife was like,
adopting your own words, bro.
My wife was listening to
Money Where Your Mouth Is,
a podcast, and she's like, you know what? I just listened to this podcast, and they're a screen printer too, and they said the exact same thing you said, you know, like 3 years ago. Like, you just, you know, it's like being a mechanic. There's a lot of business for everybody. The question is how are you going to build your business?
Right.
And people will do business with you if they trust you.
Yes.
So that's what I built the business on, and it worked. Luckily for me, it worked. But at the same time, you know, it's one of those things, you know, you just got to be very open-minded. You're going to get knocked down. The question is, how fast can you get up, and did you learn from it? And ask questions. There's a lot of people around. All of us, you should ask a lot of questions.
Bro,
you know?
What you just said is so important. What Ari's talking about is don't pay the idiot tax if you can avoid it, which means find someone who's been who is already where you want to be and ask them.
Yep.
Ask questions. Don't be afraid to call someone and say, hey, I'm about to do this. What should I look out for? Or what should I expect to happen? What's the best route I could go? Or they may be able to tell you, oh, wait. Before you do that, call this number, do this, go to this website and fill out this application, and it'll bypass all of the stuff that you're going to take a year to figure out. You know what I'm saying? So ask questions. Find the people who are already in the places you want to be, and to be honest with you, put yourself around those people.
Yeah.
That's how you network. That's how you put yourself into better situations. That's how it worked for me in film and television.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be in film and TV, and you know, when I was in music, and the crash happened in 2008, 2009, I called everyone I knew in music and said, I need a, I'll run cables, I'll get coffee, I'll start at the bottom. Just let me work at your recording studio. Let me do whatever. Yeah. I wanted to get a job in music and do it and ride it to what you did with Vans. Yeah. And no one was hiring. But one of the guys who used to own a record label hit me, or said, "Hey, I'm not doing music anymore. I'm doing movies now. Come out to pick me up." And we went on set of this. I came out, went to Rancho Cucamonga. I actually didn't have a car at the time. My truck was broke down. So I called a friend of mine who's been on the show, actually, Sabukwe Ramsey. He was actually here. He was the chef. You met him. I called him. He lived around the corner from me, and I told him what was going on. And I said, "Can I borrow your car for the next day to go and take this guy on set of this movie?" He gave me his car for a week. He gave me his Mustang for an entire week. Told me to do what I needed. I went out to this guy's house every day for a week, and I picked him up in Rancho Cucamonga. I drove from Long Beach to Rancho Cucamonga to pick him up, and then drove to Toluca Lake to go on set of the movie every day for a week. And I put myself around the director, the producers, all the people who were involved in this film, and my friend who was now the producer of this film. And him and I weren't great friends at the time, but we would acquaintances kind of. Well, I realized that this guy was in a place I wanted to be, and I really actually enjoyed hanging out with him. So I called him the next day. I said, "Hey man, I got a song I wrote." I called him like the next week. I said, "I got a song I wrote. I'd love to come out to your place and record it." He had an $80,000 recording studio in his house. And he's really, really nice guy, super friendly. So he says, "Yeah, come on out. Let's hang out. Come on, we'll record your song for free."
Wow.
I'm like, and I didn't ask him for free. I just said, "I'll just come out. I'll pay whatever, I'll just record." He's like, "Come out. Let's hang out, barbecue, and, have some fun." So we started hanging out. not long after that, he had to move. Like randomly, the person he was renting from foreclosed, whatever, something happened. He had to move. And I remember I was like, I barely hung out with him. And I remember I was like, you know what? And we were starting to become good friends real fast. And I told him, I'll be here to help you move, you know? I showed up the day to help him move. There was me and him. I was the only person that helped him. And after that day, him and I were like family, you know? And I went to his house, I mean, at least 2 or 3 times a week just to hang out and just bullshit with this dude for multiple years. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I started putting myself around the people that were already where I wanted to be. And what happened was I started being looked at by other people as somebody who was available to do the job, capable of doing the job, and hungry for the job. Yeah. So whenever music for a movie came up, guess who had their hand up? Yeah. Guess who was gnawing at the situation in this squeaky wheel? Hey, give me a copy of that film. Let me take a pass at it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know how much I charged to do my very first feature film, which was on Netflix and BET, by the way. Guess how much I charged?
How much?
$1.
Wow.
My contract for my very first movie was for $1. Because I was that eager to prove value, to show I can do this. Yep. You know what I mean? And it only came by putting myself around the people who were already where I wanted to be and making an effort to be friends, be personable, and put myself in that, you know, in that area of life. And it, you know, I mean, it kind of goes back to that thing, like I'm not sure if you heard this or not, but they'll say like, show me the bank account of your 5 closest friends, and I'll predict yours within $100. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because you're gonna kind of you're gonna covet what you see and what you're around. So when you're around things that are, you know, you're around success, you're going to be successful because you're putting yourself into that world. You're putting yourself into that category by inserting yourself and injecting yourself into those situations, you know? Yeah. So I'm a big proponent of doing that, of just putting yourself into where you want to be. I mean, I didn't know you or any of the people in the Chamber of Commerce at all. None. I didn't know. I saw Brad on Instagram having fun with you guys, and Jeff and you and Josh and Dodger games and this and that and the other. And I'm like, dude, like, I own a business. Like, I should be hanging out with these guys. I called Brad. I said, dude, what does it take for me to get involved with this guy, with this group? He invited me to a meeting. Off to the races. Yep. You know what I mean? Do what you have to do to put yourself in those situations. Positioning. Don't wait for the circumstances of life to put you where you want to be, but do it. Call go on Instagram and DM 30 of your favorite artists, and if you're a photographer, say, hey, I'll work for you for free for 30 days. Yep. And go out and do it. You know what I mean? Like, you know? Yeah. So, well, look, man, we kind of went off on a little tangent there about, you know, but, or I did anyway, but, look, we're talking about LabWorks. We're talking about how you got, you know, why you went into printing and the printing game in general. So let's take a quick look at the LabWorks print shop itself and one of the little events you did. I think this was a pop-up event that you had. Yep. And it was it was something for the local community. So let's go ahead and check this out. LabWorks print shop.
I know you, I can feel you with the green of soul. It's more than empty dreams and promises. It's not infecting me no more. When all I say to you is they're gone, you won't be feeling me no more. I know you, I can feel
Exactly.
Anyway, that was awesome, dude. So LabWorks Print Shop, loving it, dude. Ari, that's awesome. Bender says, picture yourself where you want to be and do it in small steps. That's so key and so important. Just look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. In fact, I invite you guys to watch a National Geographic hour-long special about Arnold Schwarzenegger they put out a couple years ago. It's one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen about how he got to literally do every single thing that he set out to do in his life by doing exactly what you just said, Bender. Picture yourself where you want to be and do it in small steps. And Ray, I appreciate you, man. I too think that Ari's been a fantastic guest, and I'd love to have him back in the near future here. Bender says, I really can, and I'm really enjoying the show, and you can relate to so many illustrations as well. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys. And, you know, Ari, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the show. And, you know, would you mind maybe coming on again in the near future here? Maybe talking a little bit more about, you know, the community services that
absolutely
that you are, you know, now doing
let's
as
do something.
an elected representative. You
yeah,
know?
let's do something consistently.
Bro, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I mean, Ari, we're talking about possibly putting something together with him and I and a partner of his as well. So be on the lookout for that. That's a potential that's going to be coming up in the near future here. So you guys, again, I always like to say thank you guys, and I always like to, and going back to the very beginning and going back to the gratitude. I invite you guys to, I always say that it's important and key to stay active in your own mental and emotional health. And I find one of the best ways to do that is acknowledging the things you're grateful for. So if you write it down, say it out loud, write it in the comment section, do whatever you got to do every day. Don't allow the circumstances of life to dictate the way you feel all of the time. Do what you can to acknowledge your gratitudes and be active in your own mental and emotional health. You guys, I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you to my guest, Mr. Ari Pei. You guys have been wonderful. And remember, folks, good things happen when you take the time to listen. My name is Eddie Booz, and I'll see you guys next time in the listening room. Thank you all. Love you all. Thanks for being a part of the listening room tonight. My name is Eddie Booz. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notifications, and give the video a like. We'll see you guys every Monday through Friday right here at 6:30. Take care.